Hello and what's up, guys? It is your big guy, Daddy Africa. And as we had promised to bring to you an amazing show, and whereby we are going to discuss the impact COVID has had on parent-child relationships. And with me today is our amazing guest, Vika Charles Kamama.
Yes.
Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
And before we start this amazing show, ni muhimu to sanitize.
Yes, that's
so,
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And also do.
Such an honor to have you, and we want to bridge the gap that has existed between the church and the community. That's why we have this amazing interview with you.
Yes.
And the Africa, in partnership with CWA and ACK St. Elizabeth, have made sure this show is going to work out.
Yes.
So we'll dive in right into the questions. So what do you think, how should the arguments in households be handled, especially in regards to the scripture that says, spare the rod and spoil the child? How do you think this should be handled?
Thank you very much, Dad Africa. I really want to appreciate this particular opportunity. And obviously, we are in a dilemma or in a great confusion, and especially when it comes to the marriage institution. Obvious marriage institution is based on three pillars. There is God, there is mother, there is father, and then there is child in between. But the time that you are in, like from the March this year, the COVID-19 has really crashed everything. Has crashed the economy. The economy, remember, that is where the mother and the dad would source the daily bread for the child. A majority of them have lost their job. Then the other thing that must have happened, which is a very negative during this very time, is now the child is already in the house. Therefore, there is no movement. The parents are also very much affected. But even though the COVID-19 have come, we must know how to manage whatever the crisis that have come. We must know how. Because we don't need it now to compromise the situation of the COVID-19. It will come and go, but if it is not going to go, then what you do, the fact and the principles that Africa remain, that God is in heaven. If the parents are present, let the parent be present, the mother and the father. And the other thing that must have happened is that there is too much freedom now for the child. And that child is also using a lot of time either viewing in the media, and sometimes the media, the thing that he's following are not very good for him and for the future. Therefore, there is that particular crisis. The parents are a little bit troubled. They do not know what to do, but they should remember, if they spare the Lord, then they are losing the child. And sparing the Lord, we don't say that you should keep the cane in the house. The Lord is the tongue. The tongue is the best. The information you give to your child, the instruction, the information, and even the way you would instruct your child. Because I want to say that Africa, one of the most important things that we need to understand, a family institution is like a school, is like a college. Every day, day in, day out, there is a development, there is growth. There is need also for the parent to understand the age of the child, 0 to 3, 3 to 6, their ages. And in every stage, there is a way in which this child must behave. Therefore, the mother and the father must understand the development of their child, what and which information to give at what particular time. On the other hand, I say one of the most important instrumental cane is your tongue, your eyes, what you see. And when you see, what do you understand? Then what is likely to be the area of danger to your child? Then the parent must take precaution on this. Therefore, it is easier, even though we are somehow disorganized by the COVID-19, because once again, feeding, children are feeding so much. Also, it is important for the parent to know what is it that they are feeding to the child, because the food that you give to the child, and he or she has more energy, and that energy must be utilized, must be used. Therefore, at times a child might appear like he or she is rebellious, is rude, is not cooperative, but it's because of the diet that you have fed to your child. Therefore, you have to be very careful. Then, organize a program for your child. Let your child know, because we're in this environment, this is what I require you to do, A, B, C, D. And the thing that you require your child to do, let also have some kind of an education and information, and you keep on monitoring. Do not just leave it monitoring. The other thing that is very important, the presence of a parent. Because what is really bringing now more damage and more pressure, there is external pressure of the COVID-19, the economy, the money and everything is there. Then somebody, the parent, if you lose the direction, or sometimes you lose the direction and you forget that you are still the parent in the house, you might also, thinking that you are making the daily bread, you might also mess up your relationship with your child. Therefore, it is important. Let the father and the mother understand the season. Let the child be told this is what is happening and this is what we are doing. Information. A parent, I want to say that Africa is a teacher, is a trainer, is a nurse, is a counselor, is a mentor. That is the kid that we are talking about. If you use that one, you will mold your child. At the same time, talk about the bad things, the bad children, what would have happened. There are many examples in the Bible that you need to quote, and then the other stories that we used to say, even though these days we don't have. But the parent must be very equipped and very informed to inform the child and to become the shield of the child as we go through this particular scenario.
Yeah, that is amazing to get to hear that, because once people get to hear about sparing the rod,
yes,
they think it's the one that you use to
physical,
only instill pain to the child.
You're right.
Which also, at times, at some extent, it will cause some trauma to the child.
Yes,
after. That was such an amazing response to that question.
Yes.
And the other one would be, how will the rise of violences in homes be resolved now, especially when tuko kwa nyumba? Unaona, maybe let's say it's like sexual assault that happens in the house. No one can move as far as they can before. So let's say someone has been assaulted by a close family friend or close family member. How should it be handled at this time, especially tukiwa nyumbani? Because there's nothing much the other person can do because they are family, ama it is a close friend. How do you think that should be handled?
I think if that's one thing, it will be a very shocking and a very unexpected act. The environment and even the age is a very shocking. But how should it be handled? One, when you get information, make sure you should not borrow the information. You as a parent, yes, first and foremost, you'll be shocked, you'll be troubled, you'll be very angry. But it is very important, once again, the wisdom of the mother and the father. If this has happened, one has to control the anger. Because if you don't control the anger, you will mess up everything. You're not able to approach what happened and who did it, what was the influence. Was it a raping? Was it just kind of a relationship? Is this something that you are not aware, but because of being in the house, that kind of a freedom that is not occupied? The other thing that is very important, we have people around you. We have the phone. We have people. If you realize the thing is very traumatizing and very disturbing, you have somebody who you can talk to. Just inquire, what do I do? This has happened. You use your phone because there is no movement or whichever. This is what happened. How do I approach it? And when you're talking to this particular person, make sure it's a mature person who will be able to respond. The other thing that should also happen, you may not be able to address the issue to your child immediately. It's very shameful. You know, the child is already scared, is in fear. You yourself also, you are really full of anger. You are very angry, and you wonder what is it now that is coming. There is a COVID pressure. There is now another pressure, and now there is a mess up of your child. Then you should quickly think, who can speak to your child, either through a phone once again, a mentor, or within a neighborhood, who can approach it. Once again, seek the information, know how to approach this, so that already the child is messed up, you're also messed up, communication is already broken, you are already annoyed. Access the few people around you who might become the instrumental person to help you fast cool down. I think it is also important, if this event has happened, which is an extraordinary or abnormal behavior, make sure you should not address it when it is too hot. When you get it and it shakes you, please cool down, rethink before you approach it. Because if you approach that kind of anger, you will throw away your child. you will confuse everything. So soberize, control yourself, then think this information. And by the end of the day, you'll be able to be helped. Also, look for a long-term management, because you need now a mentor, a counselor, who will be able to work with this particular child. You also need to be counseled, so you need a mentor. And one of the things also, you need to know these things that have happened to your house, it has happened elsewhere. It's only that you didn't know it will crop up and get into your house. Therefore, do not be gotten that information and then you are confused, you become a disorderly. No, okay, assume these things have been happening, it has now struck my house. Soberize, then approach the information. And I am sure by the end of the day, you'll be able to be counseled and helped, counsel the child, and then give an information that that's what have happened, it is not good, and therefore it should be done in the future. Also avoid what we call accusation and a lot of blaming. Remember, the environment has been very conducive for the behavior. It was not the intention of the child to do what, but you remember the pressure outside, yes, and environment.
Yeah.
Therefore, you must be aware. Once again, a lot of wisdom that Africa is needed for whoever is getting the information and who is communicating, who have gotten the information, who is communicating, and you've gotten the information, how are you? Do not react. Soberize, so that you are in the reasoning capacity to handle the case or to handle the accident, or else you mess up everything and then you worsen the situation. That should be my opinion and my view for this incident.
Yeah, that is a very wise step. You need to cool down.
Yes.
Because do not react in the heat of the moment once you have gotten this information.
Yes.
And there was also an argument I got to see on social media that the people who are accusing people falsely of especially sexual assault that is going around right now, do you think it is wise enough for the law to take charge and justice and even put them in prison for falsely accusing such people? Do you think it's necessary?
It is important for what we call a disciplinary, because especially if the person who did it is a person who is above 18. This person, he knew what he was doing, therefore it was an abuse, and the step must be taken seriously and not in the village. Should be that is a court case, that particular person must be disciplined, and information be told around the village what have happened and the steps that have been taken. In the old days, that Africa, you should know that kind of an act, if it would be done in a village, I am telling you, the penalty sentence would be death. The community would come and beat you with the stones and put you to death, because that was a defilement. It was an abnormal action or behavior in the society. But now, because we are not doing that in our society today, we have the mechanism, we have the law that is supposed to take the course and punish this particular person, so that other people may run, because that is the only way. Otherwise, if these people are very freely around, it will become like an act of behavior. We lose our sons and our daughters. Then we shall become useless. Even we who are parents, we are useless. We spoil the community. So the machinery, the justice, and whatever, they must do the necessary. And this time, not to pay the fine. Let this particular person have a physical time in prison for a period of time, so that he learn. Next time he come out, everybody will be knowing he has been in prison because he did 1, 2, 3. But if they are hidden, the other challenge is that our system use a lot of money, bribery and whatever. Some other people have money. You cover. Remember also, you who are also in the possession, you have children. One day, what has happened to this small village who have no power? It is likely to come to you. Therefore, that should be followed in Africa.
Yeah, that is amazing. So you get to listen and understand how this matter was taken seriously, and we appeal to our government to take this matter as seriously as it should be, especially with the ones who are falsely accused. And the last question would be, the trauma men are facing from such scenarios, how should it come along? Especially also in Corona times, people are losing jobs. Kuna people who are getting traumatized by that. They do not know what is the next move to make. What do you think should be done? How should this be handled?
Yes, men Men in historical time, not only today or yesterday, in the future, men had been under pressure. Men have undergone this traumatizing process, not only during this very time. But one thing I want to say, things will keep on coming differently. Events will come, accidents will be there, diseases will be there, because we are treating a COVID like a disease. But I think one of the things that men, I am a man, and I want to speak to myself as I speak to my fellow men in the society outside there. One, it is important for man to know he has the entire responsibility in the family and in the society. The man has been given the heavy burden, even from the creation, from the beginning, where he must work. And in working, man must work and provide to the family, because the man is a provider, is a priest, is a protector. If now like this COVID have come and some of men have lost their job and their businesses, therefore they are now more traumatized, and it is a reality in the current time. But the question that we want to raise, now it has happened, we will assume and struggle and see how we shall come out. One of the things that we need to do is that, no, when you are working, are you saving? And when you are saving, are you doing some investment? So that when you get 100 bob today, why don't you spare 30, put it somewhere? Because I want to believe the men who had been able to do a kind of work and save, they are not in such a crisis. The trauma is a little bit controllable, because the man has some power. You know, the man's power is money and what he does and his position. The other thing I want to say is that there is also a trauma. Most of the home, man has not been the home, has been outside there working 24 hours, few hours in the house. He's now traumatized, even the whole family, the children. I remember there's one family, children asked their dad, why is it that you're not going to work? It was very, very difficult question. So what are we saying? Man, understand yourself, encourage yourself, and know there is nobody who will sympathize with man as society. So what I want to say, now that you are in the house, when the mama has not been used to see you every day, the children have not been used to see you, now you are being seen there. Okay, now there is no now freedom. There is a certain freedom that is already limited. The children don't want to see the father in the house all the time. The mother also is not very comfortable with the man is around there. You see now, the man is pressurized. But what I want to encourage the man to do, first and foremost, is understanding the situation, explain the situation. At the same time, if you're already traumatized, one, either because you have lost the job and you did not do enough saving, it is important. Work and save and invest for that day that you are not aware of. And if that happens, then the man will be able to be soberized. The other thing I want to say to the society, yes, the whole burden is on the man's shoulders. I am one of them. The rejection has been there, even the boy child. It is important for the society to know the boy child that they see around is now the man who is the head of the family. Therefore, they should also be very considerate, because once again, when the man is traumatized and the children are also pressurized and the mama is not very comfortable, labda keep on blaming, or you ought to have done ABCD. I want to ask the society, please spare that very man you are seeing. He was once a boy growing in a certain village, but he has grown to this particular level. And a man is a very resourceful person in the society. Whether working or not working, may the society mentor this particular man, because we need a man in the society. Marriage need a man. There is also something that is also happening. Now that the man is not bringing, you realize sometimes there are some wives that are despising their men. Yes, and when the man is already despised, is already hit by the COVID, he is not now more stressed. Men, please manage your stress. The depression do not allow to reach that very level, and stand out. Let your ego stand out, even though it might have been crushed. The power of a man that Africa is the ego. Ego together with the position as he hold. If he is respected by the children and the mother also and the parent, and handle him the way he is, and they revive the ego, the man is able to think very quickly and do something. But he is totally suppressed. You go to the drugs, You go to drinking, not that he would wish, but he's looking for an environment whereby when he drinks, he ceases to be himself. So when anybody talks to him, he is not himself. He's hiding that alcoholic. But you see, he is now more traumatized. And you are likely to cause the death to this particular man. Therefore, may we spare the man as you spare the boy, child.
And that was amazing, and getting to hear your views. And guys, I hope you have enjoyed this amazing episode. The first episode we are doing with ACK St. Elizabeth and with Reverend Charles Kamama. It was such an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
And we are very grateful and hope to do this even more. So guys, keep responding to the messages we are giving you guys, and tune in to our shows every month, and we'll see you then. Kwaheri, tukutane tena.